Deep in the heart of No Noise Town lived a little girl named Sia. Now, this wasn't just any ordinary town. Oh no, it had a very special secret. You see, all the sounds in the world were kept safe in this town. Every giggle, every roar, every meow and tweet was tucked away in one of the houses on Silent Street. But one day, poof, all the sounds vanished. Nobody knew where they went or why. And it was up to Sia and her friends to find out what had happened. It all started when Sia was playing hide and seek with her puppy, Sparky. 1, 2, 3, she counted, her giggles echoing through the silent street. But when she turned around, Sparky was gone. Not only that, but his usual happy barks had vanished too. Woof! She heard a familiar sound. There he was, hiding behind a tree and wagging his tail. But his bark sounded different. It was weak and scratchy, like a rusty swing set. "That's strange," Sia said, tilting her head. She couldn't quite put her paw on it, but something was off about Sparky's bark. Just then, a tiny voice piped up from her shoulder. "It's me!" Sia jumped. "You scared me," she exclaimed, looking down at her necklace. There, nestled between the colorful beads, was a little bluebird that had magically appeared. She remembered finding the necklace earlier that day, hidden under the floorboard in her attic. It was covered in tiny musical notes, each one shimmering like stardust. And now here was this blue bird, perched on the clasp like a feathered jewel. "Hello?" Sia asked cautiously. "Who are you?" The bluebird hopped onto her finger. "I'm a giggle," he chirped. "And if you listen closely, you might hear my song. Hee hee." But when Sia leaned in, all she heard was a faint, It sounded more like a grumpy grunt than a giggle. And that was odd because giggles were supposed to be, well, giggly. This one wasn't just quiet, it was downright shy. "Don't worry," the bluebird said, sensing her confusion. "My voice has gone missing, along with all the other sounds in town. It's up to us to find them." With that, the bluebird flapped its wings and took off, soaring high above No Noise Town. "Wait for me," Sia called, scrambling to her feet. She loved mysteries, and solving them with a talking bluebird by her side sounded like an adventure. As they flew, the bluebird, whose name turned out to be Jingly, explained that the sounds weren't just missing, they were gone. Poof! And that meant only one thing. Someone or something had stolen them. "But why?" Sia asked, puzzled. Jingly shrugged. "That's the mystery we have to solve." Their first stop was Jingly's house, which looked like a giant musical note made of spun sugar. Inside, a worried mom bird was pacing back and forth. "Oh, my melody has vanished," she cried. "How will I ever sing without it?" Sia wanted to help, but the house was eerily silent. There wasn't a peep or chirp to be found. Without their hearing, how would they ever find the missing sounds? Then Sia noticed something peculiar. Tiny musical notes, just like the ones on her necklace, were scattered across the floor. They twinkled like fallen stars, each one humming with a faint melody. "These notes," Sia exclaimed, suddenly inspired. "They could lead us to the sounds." And so they did. Following the twinkling trail, they soon arrived at a house with boarded-up windows and a rusty swing set creaking in the breeze. "This feels spooky," Sia whispered, clutching Jingly close. But the bluebird was already hopping ahead, his jingle bells ringing out. Hee hee hee. He led Sia to a small hole in the wall, and through it, they heard a familiar sound. Woof woof. It was Sparky's bark, but he wasn't outside. He was inside the house. Working together, Sia and Jingly crept inside. It was dark and dusty, with cobwebs hanging from the ceiling like silver curtains. But as their eyes adjusted to the gloom, they saw something amazing. Every sound they could think of was trapped inside, locked up in jars and canisters. There were growls and guffaws, tweets and croaks, even a few angry hisses. And right in the middle of it all was a huge cauldron bubbling merrily. Then they heard a cackle that sent shivers down Sia's spine. "Ah, so you found my soundproof dungeon," a voice croaked. Out from behind the cauldron hobbled a witch with a crooked hat and a broom. "Hand over the sound thief necklace, and I'll let you go," she rasped. Sia gasped. That was the name of her necklace. How did the witch know about it? Just then, Jingly flew into a jar and trapped inside. Sia watched in horror as the bluebird tried to chirp out a warning. But once the lid was screwed on, all she heard was a muffled, "Help!" She had to get Jingly out, but how could she fight a wicked witch without any sound to call for help? Then she remembered the music notes on her necklace. Maybe they could help. Taking a deep breath, Sia started to hum a tune. The notes on the necklace glowed brightly, and before she knew it, she was surrounded by sparkling musical notes. She grabbed the nearest one and scribbled a message on the floor. "Jingly, grab the note and fly to the window. I'll distract the witch." The blue bird understood. With a wink, he snatched the note, flew to the window, and disappeared into the night. Now, with Jingly out of danger, Sia focused on the witch. She wrote another note, this time spelling out, "Give back the sounds." The witch stared at it in surprise. "How did you do that?" she croaked. "By the power vested in me by the great giggle thief," Sia announced dramatically, holding up the necklace. "I demand that you return the sounds to their rightful owners." The witch recoiled as if burned. "That necklace," she hissed. "It's mine." But Sia knew that wasn't true. The music notes glowed warmly in her hands, and she felt a surge of magic. The Sound Thief necklace wasn't just a pretty bauble. It was a symbol of everything that made No Noise Town special. The witch took a shaky step back. "So, do you want to split the power, kiddo?" she asked sheepishly. Sia smiled. "No need for that, Ms. Witch. You look tired and a little hungry. Why don't we make some soup, and then you can tell me what really happened?" After a long, heartfelt chat, they discovered that the witch hadn't meant to steal the sounds. In fact, she was trying to protect them. See, she was sick and tired of people using their noise machines to cover up the beautiful sounds of nature. Birds tweeting, frogs croaking, leaves rustling, even crickets chirping. All those sounds were disappearing under the rumble of cars, the blare of horns, and the buzz of phones. And she hoped that if she trapped them in her dungeon, they'd be safe. But Sia gently told her that wasn't the answer. The sounds weren't going anywhere. People would always find new ways to drown them out. But if everyone worked together, they could protect them. And maybe, just maybe, they could even bring back the sounds that had been lost. With the witch's help, they returned every single sound to its owner. And Noisy Town was once again filled with the sweet sounds of joy. From that day on, Sia and the witch became best friends, working together to keep the sounds safe and to remind everyone that sometimes the quietest places have the loudest stories to tell.